My name is Debbie. I'm an alcoholic. Thanks for the opportunity to serve. My sponsor told me I should never say no when AA asked me to help, so that's why I'm here. So I passed out a little pamphlet. This was actually a little article that was in the box 459, News and Notes from the General Service Office from February, March 2004. So I'm just going to start and just read through this. I hope I don't bore you to tears, but I just thought it was really a cool article about the home group. And I don't know if this was in here, but something else I read about the home group, there wouldn't be an AA for us to join. So that's, pretty cool, I think. That's what it's all about. So the home group's AA's basic unit. Over the years, the very essence of AA's strength has remained with the home group, which for many members becomes their extended family, notes the pamphlet, the AA group. That's what we passed around, where it all begins. A home group is where new AA members can most easily get to know people in a genuine way, where group members get to know them. Hearing others speak freely about their fears and relate once shameful tales of drinking is a liberating experience to the guarded newcomer. It's where the AA member builds the confidence to share openly and honestly. There's a comfort level that comes with belonging to a home group, says Chris S. You feel like you're known and accepted. Of course, every AA meeting an alcoholic attends plays an important part in that person's recovery, whether it's their home group or not. But people coming into AA have many things in common, often including that they never felt a part of. And I can definitely relate to that. It's a home group that a newcomer can learn to find his or her way in the new world of sobriety and the world at large. Having stood on the sidelines for so long, the newly sober alcoholic learns to make those first forays into a full life. It's the home group that an AA member is most likely to do service and experience that longed-for feeling of belonging, along with a sense of responsibility that comes miraculously from simple tasks like stacking up chairs or making coffee. The home group anchors an AA member into the program, and getting that service commitment may be key. You go to a meeting when you otherwise might not because you don't want to let the group down, says Chris. The importance of a home group to a newcomer is regularly cited, and with a good reason. It was at my home group that I learned everything I know about alcoholism, says Dorothy M., who has been a sober member of the same home group for 30 years. At her home group, though, we count days, not years. She says, I learned the language of AA at my home group. By continually showing up at a certain home group, you begin to be noticed. It's someone from your home group who is most likely to miss you if you stop going to meetings. For those unfortunate enough to slip, the home group is a natural place to return. We are there for the newcomer or the person coming back, says Dorothy. For those with long-term sobriety, a home group may be no less important. Whereas newcomers often throw themselves into AA, doing 90 meetings in 90 days, going to coffee after the meeting, etc., the person with a long-time sobriety may no longer be as involved. For that person, the home group becomes an anchor in the AA fellowship, somewhere they know they will be going at least once a week. The old-timers' attendance at the same AA meeting week after week, year after year, lends substance to the group, and their presence can inspire in surprising ways. According to one story, an alcoholic who hung on the outskirts of AA for years without ever getting sober had taken note of an old-timer who could always be found in the same corner seat. This person finally did get sober, and he never forgets to credit the old-timer. The story he tells is that he was making one of his rare trips to the local AA meeting, but still had not made up his mind whether he'd actually go in once he got there. Finally, he decided, as he says, that if that old geezer is still there in that same place, I'm going in. So from that meeting on, he has stayed sober. The active home group also contributes to the health of AA as a whole. It is the basic unit of the fellowship. It produces the general service representatives and sets the direction for AA as a whole. The home group links the AA member to the fellowship. One issue around home groups is the growth of those designated for men, women, young people, gays, etc. At the 40th General Service Conference in 1990, a workshop on the home group took up the question of these types of groups. Among the advantages, according to those at the workshop, is that these groups provide an opening to AA for alcoholics who would not attend meetings otherwise. In this way, they can act as a bridge to a mainstream AA. One disadvantage, though, is that such meetings can foster a sense of uniqueness, isolation, and segregation. The overruling point, as noted at the workshop, is that in keeping with the fourth tradition, AA groups have the autonomy to conduct their affairs as they see fit, except in matters affecting other groups or AA as a whole. In a real way, it is in AA that we learn the basics of a new life. The home group can be a big part of that. As it says in the preface of the home group, Heartbeat of AA, published by the AA Grapevine, it is where recovering alcoholics begin to adopt the guiding principles of Alcoholics Anonymous as working realities in their own sober lives. So I hope that, if somebody, you can actually get this online at aa.org and just do a search for this box 459 and some whatever words are in the article. But that's, I don't know if you guys have any questions or if we just keep talking.
Yeah, let's go down the line and then we'll open it up.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
Robert, I'm an alcoholic. That was so elegantly put. I'm about ready to just say I'm going. But, I definitely identify with it. And I agree that was well written. As a home group member of the West Side group in Southern Pines, I know that I searched to belong somewhere. And I didn't know where I fit in. Maybe that was why I was drinking the way I drank. But I know within the midst of my drinking, I alienated my family. So when I came to AA, and I was told to get a home group, and my home group told me, look, we want you to get active. And right off the bat, they started giving me things to do. They gave me a sense of belonging. They wanted me to make a contribution. They wanted me to be committed, And at first I was fearful of that because I just didn't know where I belonged. But, getting involved in the home group, and I'm just going to tell you a quick story that I had occurred while I was in my first home group, which was the Rockingham group. I had a heart attack, and I was about a year in sobriety. Most of all of my friends of AA that I had latched on to, I was in the hospital, and I was saying, well, Jesus, ain't none of my friends come to visit. And that day, I had about 15 or 20 visitors, all from the program. Not one person that I frequent with when I was drinking showed up. But this entire group, and I had people say, man, what do? You a popular dude. You got all these people coming to visit you. and I remember saying to myself, man, I finally found somewhere I belong. Because my home group was my family. I celebrated with them. I cried with them. I was able to tell them things that I couldn't tell my biological family. And that allowed me to find the freedom of this program. And being a part of AA and a home group has been the greatest experience of my life. It allowed me to learn how to re-enter society. I was to the point I was not a social person. My best days were spent in a room with a bottle by myself because I didn't want to be bothered. I just wanted time to me to do what I was accustomed to doing. And this program, to see a newcomer come in and become a member of a home group and get with him and talk to him and try to get him involved in what's going on is probably the greatest reward of this program of all. And when I was asked to come here to speak about home groups, I remember saying, wow, my home group now, I got in it. When I first went there, the first meeting I made, Donnie was chairing a meeting, and he said, well, I want you to know that the West Side group is the greatest group of all. And I was saying, yeah, well, that's coming from West Side group, but I have had the privilege of being in a couple of home groups, and each and every one of them, I learned something, and most of all, I learned that, being a part of something bigger than me, to know that I could reach out and I could pick up the phone and I could call a member of my home group, and for that moment, I got their undivided attention. That's something that I couldn't find at home, and if you don't have a home group, get a home group. Sometimes we got to search around to find the right home group that fits us, and that's okay too, because I had quite a few, but I do know that sense of belonging, to the idea that somebody knows me and knows the inner me. If I'm feeling bad and I come to the home group, I got people saying, Robert, are you all right? Because they feel what I'm feeling. They can see what I'm going through, sometimes even before I do. And I think it's a wonderful thing, and I think this was a great topic for a panel, home group, the sense of belonging. Because if y'all was like me when I was out there, I didn't belong nowhere, probably in a mental institution or a jail, and I probably would have ended up there. but thanks to this program, it saved my life. So home groups are, to me, they're vital importance. Thank you.
My name's Harold Pearson, I'm alcoholic. My home group is the Old Time Structure Group, and I think we're hosting, or maybe the host of this meeting, I'm not sure if that's the proper terminology or not, but anyway, this is where we meet each Wednesday night at 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 7 o'clock now. We just changed a few weeks ago, so it's at 7 o'clock. And back in September 2 years ago, this past September 2 years ago, we picked up the Rockingham Group speaker meeting on Sunday night. So that's part of our Old Time Structure Group now, and they will be meeting at 7 o'clock here tonight in speaker meeting. And so with that, I'd like to say welcome here to our Samaritan Chapel in our home group meeting place. It's a privilege and honor to be able to be asked to be on this, and I'm probably least qualified to talk about home group of anyone, but I am grateful to be asked, and I just share with my experience with home group, because I think everything's been well spoken. But I go back a while in AA, and I completed treatment and got a home group in, and that group's no longer meeting. It's been abandoned a long time ago, but it was the Friday night meeting up at the Presbyterian Church, and it was a speaker meeting, and I got really involved in that meeting and so forth, and served in a lot of different areas for quite a few years before it did abandon or shut down, or whatever happened to the group. I really can't remember what happened to that group, but it did go by the wayside. But it was, I was, like I say, was very involved, and I remember just getting, my home group, I go make coffee at your meetings, things such as that. I had keys to a church, and I mean, that was pretty neat for me early on, and things such as that, being involved. And then, after several years of that, and it shut down, I didn't have a home group. I went for years without a home group, and I would cock up in a lot of different meetings, make a lot of different meetings, 4 or 5 meetings a week. I'd go to Waitsburg on the beach every Monday night, be over there at the meeting, and I would have been a home group member there, as frequently as I was there. Cock up out here on Tuesday night at the Samaritan Colony speaker meeting, and a lot of times I would line up speakers and everything. And I know some of you here remember years ago we used to have the what's called the TAR set. It was a group of two counties out of South Carolina, 2 counties out of North Carolina would meet once a month on Sundays and have a big eating meeting and a big speaker and so forth. And they would call the roll, and you would stand up, and I would always stand up with the Samaritan Colony group, and it was called the institutional groups. But anyway, like I say, it was that sort of not belonging, not fitting, and I would go to other meetings, and then and I'm not apologizing. A lot of our group members that would be here today are not here because we had to postpone a golf tournament from yesterday, scheduled for yesterday morning until. They teed off at 1 o'clock this afternoon, so that's the reason they're not here. But anyway, Judson is here, and Judson helped me, correct me on this, but I think in year 2000, Judson, myself, and a couple more kind of talking about the need for a meeting. And the reason was I wanted a home group. I got tired of hearing people stand behind podiums and talk about the importance of home groups and belonging to a home group. And I didn't have a home group. I went to a lot of meetings and I felt good anywhere I was at, but that was a missing part, and it's so important, the things that have been shared here today, what a home group is. And so we decided to start the old time structure group, and I know Justin and I think maybe one more from the original group that started that group are still part of that group. But what happens to me is that as you say, the home group keeps you accountable. They know all about you. And I could go to other groups and I can be whatever I want to be. Or I can possibly play a big shot role, or I can be arrogant. I can know a little bit more than anyone else. We was joking the other night. We was at a meeting about a guy that was a member of our home group, and he's moved to another area now and has his own home group there. But he was talking about one time that he was in a group that nobody didn't know him. And he hadn't been sober that time for 6 months, but he picked up a 5-year chip. So, you can, it's not, your home group knows, they keep up with you. And there's other things that's going on with you. So, I related to, a bit like being in a foreign country. I served in the Air Force in Thailand, and I knew why I was in Thailand. I was up there with the military and so forth, and I fit in pretty well. I mean, of course, alcohol helped me fit in and be part of what was going on and everything. But the language barrier, I really did not know what was going on. And it was always aggravating to me to sometimes hear talking. And we have a lot of immigrants in our country now and so forth, and just think about them. Maybe they're not here legally or so forth, and they're here and they don't have that sense of belonging. And I think that's what the home group gives me, that sense of belonging, and that we talk about in AA. We speak the language of the heart, and I think that's what is really spoken at the home group. Because when I'm in a home group, they know what's going on with me. They understand what I'm saying. I don't have to try to present myself as this, that, or anything. They already know because we've been together and for so long, ensuring and things such as that. And accountability is so important in that group. And so I don't have to feel like I walk in and I feel like I'm part of it. I can walk in and certainly speak to everybody here, or we go around and introduce ourselves or whatever. But sometimes when I'm visiting other groups, I have that feeling I need to go around and let people know I'm there, shake their hands and things such as this. But at my home group, I can be who I am, because when I talk at the home group and I hear other people at my home group sharing, I know they're talking from the heart, and I know when I'm talking, they're there for me. And in other groups, I might not have that. I might not have that feeling. And I think when we're talking about alcoholics, we're talking about people that do have feelings, and that we need that special feeling. And so with that, with a home group, I think that's something else that's very important there. So that's my take on home group, and I'm grateful that today I can, when I speak at meetings, I can tell them about my home group. I don't say it's the best home group there is, because any meeting I'm at, that's the best meeting that's happening right then, not because I'm there, but because of the fact that I'm at that meeting and anybody that's there. So, you can claim your home group's the best there is. I have no problem with that. But any meeting I'm at, that's the meeting I need to be at, and that's the best meeting I know going at that time because of whoever's in that room. But I'm grateful that I can stand behind a podium and tell them who I am and give my sobriety date and tell them I do have a home group. Because I went for many years, and every time I hear somebody say that little feeling, you don't have one, And so it finally motivated me enough to say, hey, me and Judson and some others decided we would start a group, and it's my home group. And today I'm grateful to be a member of that group. Thank you.
I'm Vic Larson. I'm an alcoholic. I'm a member of the Anson group in Wadesboro, North Carolina. And it's the only home group I've ever been a member of. I got sober in 1994. And when I came into that group, those people took me in and they talked to me and they accepted me for who I was, what I was. They would ask me any questions about anything that I didn't want to share with them. And that to me was unusual, because most people did not accept me at face value. Seemed like me, everybody wanted something from me, and when they got me in there, and they actually after a little while told me that this program worked better if you actually quit drinking. And I decided to try that and picked up a white chip, because I attended meetings quite a while drinking, but I picked up that first white chip and tried this, and they started giving me little jobs. The guy told me, he said, you need to wash ashtrays. I don't smoke. And I said, well, I need to wash ashtrays. And he said, it'll keep you sober. That was good enough for me. It was real simple. And then he told me I needed to shake people's hands when I came through the door. And then eventually they let me make coffee, then I started feeling a part of instead of a part from. And to me, that is the most important thing about a home group. Is when we get a newcomer in, is to make them feel a part of us. I go in a lot of groups, I go in meetings, I work all over the state of North Carolina, I go in meetings in different places, and a lot of times it just happens in my home group too, and I'm as guilty of it as anybody. I go in, I see people I know, and hey, how you doing? And we start talking. And sometimes a newcomer will come in and we fail to go over and say, hey, how you doing? We fail to greet them and pull them into us. And sometimes that person doesn't come back. We fail as a home group when that happens. Because the most important thing we can do is to pull that person into us like y'all pulled me in. And that's the whole point of having a home group, as far as I'm concerned, is to attract that person and to pull them in to the center of that group to make them feel a part of something. Because I know how I felt when I was out there, and I know how I feel today. Today I'm part of the whole of Alcoholics Anonymous. Then I was all by myself. And my home group did that for me. There's been times when I have been upset with my home group. I didn't like the way things were going. And I thought about leaving. But I've never left. I heard a speaker say one time that if you're not the best home group in the world, you don't think your home group is the best one in the world, don't come to mine and mess mine up. Because you were the problem. It's up to us. If we don't feel like our home group is doing the things that it needs to do, it's up to us to change that. It's up to us to allow our GSRs to come back and make reports. It's up to us to listen to them, to give them the time they needed, to tell us what they heard at the assembly. It's up to us to have group conscience meetings and to let things like that happen in our group, to understand the workings. And it's up to us to hold the members of the group accountable to make these things happen. And if we don't do that, then the group doesn't function the way it's supposed to function. And then the groups, they just don't work right. And I've seen that happen. I've been sober over 20 years now, and I've seen it happen in my group. I've seen it happen where things just ran like a well-oiled machine. And I've seen it where you need a little drop of oil here, a drop of oil there. That's how I got involved in service work. I started asking questions. Next thing I knew, I was a GSR. I didn't even know what it was, but I asked about it one day. What's a GSR? And then I found out it was me. But, we need to bring the newcomer in, get them involved in the home group. It's part of our obligation to the newcomer. It's part of our obligation to our home groups, is to get people involved in this stuff. And that's how we keep our home group strong. It's how people become old timers. Because we all start one day at a time. We all continue this one day at a time. You don't get to be an old timer unless you do it one day at a time. So to me, the most important thing about being a member of a home group is to make sure that you're in contact with that newcomer when they come in, and to stay in contact with them. Like Harold was saying, we all need somebody to hold us accountable. I don't need to be going out, I've got 20 years sobriety, I don't need to be going out picking out a 30-year chip just because I'm in a group that nobody knows me. And I look old. I need to be held accountable. The people who are going to hold me accountable are the people that know me. If all I do is attend meetings, then nobody knows me. I could go to 15 or 20 meetings a week and never have a home group. I see people in meetings voting in different meetings at different home groups, voting on the issues. That's not their right. If you belong to a home group, you vote in that home group. You don't go to somebody else's group and vote on the issue. You vote in your home group. When I was DCM of District 42, I get paperwork in that shows the same GSR listed for home group, same GSR. I said, how can you do that? They don't never show up at the meetings anyway, so I guess they can do what they please, but, you know, people just don't understand the importance of what we're talking about today. The home group is the heartbeat of AA. It's what keeps this thing functioning. We need to be strong in home groups. We need our members to understand the importance of having a home group and what it's about. I think it's a subject that needs to be talked about, okay, in meetings. You know, we need to have a discussion meeting about what is a home group, what keeps a home group alive, what keeps it strong. If we don't, we lose focus on what's going on. We need to look at ourselves. We need to look at our groups, have group conscious meetings, have group inventory meetings to find out, are we doing the things we need to do? Thanks for letting me share.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. It's obvious you shared from the heart, and what I'd like to do now is open it up. If you have questions for any one of them specifically, or just want to throw it out, or if you have a special experience, it's now your turn.
I'm Sam, I'm an alcoholic. Yeah, I belong to a home group, the Rockingham group at the Presbyterian Church. But, there's nothing about that group that I don't like. But it's another group in this district that they need some help. So I'm gonna leave this group that I'm in now, they got plenty of people in that group. So I'm gonna leave the group at, the Presbyterian Church, I'm gonna go to the Hampton group because it's just a couple of members over there. And they having to do everything, so I'm gonna become a part of that group, cause I can help them. If just two people chairing meetings and doing this and doing that, I'm gonna be part of a smaller group to try to help it become a big group, a larger group. You know, so I feel that like, there's no such thing as a bad home group. And I'm not leaving this particular group I am now because I'm dissatisfied with the way the group functions. I'm just leaving because I see a need that I can help this group in Hampton a lot better than I can the group that I'm in now. You know, so thank y'all for letting me share that.
Thanks, Sam.
My name's Gloria, and I'm an alcoholic.
Hey, Gloria.
I have often heard it brought up, and anybody can address this if you want to, but that can you have more than one home group? I personally am a member of a home group, the Tuesday Night Bronson group, which has recently changed its name to the Evergreen Group. But also, I regularly go to two other groups, and I do mean regularly. I mean, every week I almost feel like they're all my home group in a way. I feel the chapel meeting at Pinehurst, I actually pretty much lead that meeting every week, and it's not exactly a home group. We don't give out chips and do all the usual things, but. And then there's the old hospital group, which is now at the Congregational Church in Pinehurst. That's a Friday night and a Sunday meeting, and I go to both of those. So they're all dear to my heart. So I was just wondering if anybody would like to address the question of can you have more than one home group, and what your thoughts are on it. Thanks for letting me share.
Robert, I'm alcoholic. You know, I dealt with that same situation. I was a member of a home group in Aberdeen. I was a member of a home group in Rockingham. And in my heart, I wasn't giving my home group. You know, I had to choose because you know I'm a part of a home group, and I want to give that home group my all. You know, now people in the rooms that know me know I make plenty of meetings, day meetings, evening meetings, night meetings, and I love making meetings. But my home group is my family. That's where my connection is at. You know, that's where I do a lot of service work, and I do service work outside of the groups, in other groups. But my home group is the group that knows me better than my family knows me. Those are the ones that if I don't show up a couple of days, going to start making phone calls, and a lot of other people in a lot of other groups. But I needed to have that I needed to have that connection with one group. I had to have that tunnel vision with my home group instead of a bunch of groups, you know. And I don't know. I mean, that would be, I guess, up to the individual, but with me, I had to be anchored in one home group in order to get the nurturement that I needed out of that group. You know, I'm gonna tell this real quick and I'm gonna shut up. I was at a home group and I understand what Dick was talking about, how you're in a home group and you feel like at times that you don't want to be there because things is not the way that you want them to be. Well, I was at a home group and one of the, God bless him, and I know he's in a better place, one of the members told me, he said, Robert, you need to take the cotton out of your ears and put it in your mouth. And you're talking about instant resentment. I did not want nothing to do with that group ever again. And couldn't wait until after the meeting so I could confront this dude. And after the meeting, we got together and he said, hold up, Robert, I know you got a lot of fire in you right now. He said, but listen to me. I had just came back after a relapse. And he said, well, Robert, he said, you didn't know it all, because if you did, you wouldn't have went back out. And that was the first time that I really heard something from a person that I understood. Why ain't I celebrating 12 years instead of a couple of months? You know, and that opened up my heart. That let me know that these people that told me, let me love you until you learn to love yourself, they meant just that. You know, and I couldn't have that scattered. That's sort of like me in a marriage and I'm running around. And I love all y'all women, but this is my wife, you know, and I just had to have that individuality to one group, you know, that I'm committed to, you know, and I hope that helped. Thanks.
I'm Wilder and I'm an alcoholic. And I would like to add to that was heartfelt, Robert. Thank you for that. Richard, do you have the sheets with you? Do you have the packet? Or is it somewhere else in the room? I know it's here. There it is. Just hold it up. Just hold one sheet up. That sheet has all the information for GSR, your address, the address of your home group, the number. It has the number of people that are in your home group and when you meet. And that comes from GSO. And we keep a count of how many people are in your home group. If you sign up in several, that means you're voting in several, and you get counted several times. And since we are a democracy with the people in charge and not the head chief in charge, when you sign up on one home group list, you're counted in New York City. And I think that's really important. I want to be counted and I want to vote. But I do service work in most of the groups that I go to because I was brought into the program and put to work immediately, just like we've heard, and have a lot of warm feelings about the group that I go to in my home group. And I recently changed, and part of it was because I was driving by one group to go to another, and I started going the shorter distance. But I do feel that it's important to just know that your name on that list is counted, and we keep it up. Every district meeting, we go over for changes and who's GSR and what's happening with you. We keep up with it and we send it in. Richard is basically is our alternate DCM and he's in charge of that. So I think that can make a difference. My personal feeling is to sign up in one group as my main home group, and I make those meetings. And then all of the others, I do service work but don't put my name on the list. So I hope that helps.
I'm Vic, I'm an alcoholic. I think it also matters whether it's a group registered with GSO or is it a meeting, which is a group of alcoholics that have got together to have a meeting. There's a total difference in what a group is versus what a meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous is. It's two different things entirely. A group of alcoholics can get together and have a meeting and not be registered as a group. Therefore, they have no voice with New York or GSO or anything like that. And and you can do all the service work in the world you want to do with those people, you know, with that group, that entity, but it's a meeting and not a group. My personal opinion is one person, one home group, and you can do, if you want to do service work in another group, then do service work in another group, but you still have one home group. You know, I don't know how anybody would live in 3 houses at the same time. I don't know how, you know, that's just the way I see it. But, you know, alcoholics are pretty gonna do what they wanna do pretty much, because that's what they wanna do.
I'm ready to point
Hey, Rick?
about the home group issue. Don't, how many or whatever, AA structure is designed. They told me for each individual to have one home. And if you have more than one home group, only represent one in a voting, you know, in a business manner, and that's what really counts. In a business manner, if the same issue can come up, and you say, I'll share, but I won't vote on the issue at the other group, because I've already voted on it at, you know, primary, my A group, or whatever, and beyond that, stop, honestly. I just like to share this. There was a time before computers and cell phones that they had paper handouts that, what you call them?
Ballots.
Yeah, and they had all this stuff about groups and these handout sheets, and they had a picture of an inverted pyramid about structure and everything that did more of explaining a lot of stuff than I received from listening to people. Something about me, you can tell me, go ahead and turn on 220, and I will go out and turn it around. I just didn't listen. I didn't hear too well. But to see it in illustration and to receive the handout form, like this box 59 did, for example, it did a lot of good to me because it took away my disdain from listening to another person. I have a big issue with listening. But the way it was, guidelines, that's the term I'm looking for. They had a lot of guidelines for all of these issues and things that the district used to put out. And since we, yeah, that's an example of what I'm trying to say in service manual or whatever to the new people. So it helped me a lot to get it in writing because that I could and that's just me. So I'm not saying one way or the other, but it's an individual's choice. If you want to have 1,000 home groups in 1,000 different states, like a truck driver, every city stop in, this is my home group, and that's your business. When it comes to certain, you know, issues in the district and at business meetings and voting, where, like Wilder said, where it's legitimized, they suggest only do it one time. Thank you.
Thanks, Rick.
You give me this one?
Well, sure.
No, they cost a lot.
That's the service manual that comes out of New York, and when you are a GSR, you should get that in the mail. Why don't you pass it around?
Oh, yeah, that'd be
and
easier,
just
I'm
let
sorry.
everybody see what it is.
You got one online, too. You don't buy one, get them free, I know, Jill.
Steve Moore, alcoholic.
Hey, Steve.
I got questions in the panel, and y'all, by the way, y'all did a nice job. I appreciate you sharing about a home group and your experience with it. And Vic was alluding to it, but what is the difference between a home group and just a meeting? I don't think just registering with GSO makes it a home group, does it? I mean, just what's the difference in y'all's experience? Everyone wants to take it. Vic?
Since he was alluding to it, we'll let Vic.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Well, a registered group, of course, is registered with New York and participates fully in Alcoholics Anonymous in all ways. It has voting privileges to vote and participate fully, whereas a meeting is exactly that. And any group of alcoholics can get together and hold a meeting and has all of the other full participation except the voting privileges. They don't vote. I mean, it could be a home group as far as they could call themselves a home group, the biggest difference would be that they're not participating fully in Alcoholics Anonymous by not being a registered group. For instance, when they wanted to come out with a 4th edition of the Big Book and change some of the stories around and things like that, there would be no way that they would have a voice in that. Whereas a registered group would definitely have a voice in that. That would be the biggest difference I would see, but as far as that goes, that's the only difference that I could see, because everything else would be the same. It would be whether you're registered with New York and have the right of participation or not.
Thanks, Vic. My name's Harold, I'm alcoholic. My take on that, just feed off what Vic said, was, New York registers the group, make a group, official group of members of Alcoholics Anonymous, and then the person would select, individual would select if that's their home group, And I guess you could be, like you say, a group of alcoholics meeting, and really are not registered, but they call themselves having a meeting. And you could choose that group as being your home group.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't have, you could vote in that group, but it wouldn't have no tie as AA as a whole if it's not registered in New York.
You could vote on what happens in that individual group, as we all vote as to what happens in our individual home groups, because each group is autonomous in the function as long as it does not affect AA or as a whole or any other group. So we could vote that we're not going to have coffee, and my home group could vote we're not going to have coffee or whatever. It doesn't affect any other group, or it doesn't affect AA as a whole, so we could do that. But so we could control things like that right there. But it wouldn't, So you can do that as a home group, and whether you're registered or not, you can call yourself a home group. The only difference in a registered group and a meeting would be the fact that you're registered and can participate fully in the function of AA as a whole.
So two other questions, really, along, just kind of rewording it, is what makes a strong home group, forgetting about the register part, and if a person's looking for a home group, what should they look for when they're selecting a home group?
Robert, an alcoholic.
Robert.
When I go to buy a pair of shoes, I want a pair of shoes that's gonna fit, that ain't gonna cramp my feet. And I've been in home groups, I've been in other people's meetings, and I just didn't have that sense of comfort as far as sharing life. And I tell my sponsees the same thing. When you are making meetings or attending other groups, you don't want to just jump out there and say anything. Where it's certain things I could say in my home group that I wouldn't say at the Aberdeen group, for instance. And I can't get to know everybody in the program. I think I do pretty well, but a home group allows you to get to know the people that you're around. And when selecting one, that would probably be a heart-filled thing. When you get around a group of people and you say, you know what, those guys, those ladies, I'm comfortable around them, because that's pretty much like what happened to me. I attended a lot of meetings, and I had a home group, and sort of like voila, I moved, and then it was easier for me to go to this home group than that home group, but it was a lot of groups in the area, and I was in a group one day, and I was saying, well, this group ain't huge, and within this group, I could have a voice, I could be acknowledged, and that fit me to the T. I love large gatherings, because large gatherings let me know that this program is doing its job for people that's willing to work it. But then when I go to my home group, I like that little, small, close-knit group, where I'm a part of, and that's the way I chose a home group. Everybody looks for something different, I don't know. You might walk into a room and say, this is it. That just might be that feeling that come over you. But as far as the home group itself, so home groups could choose you, because my first home group put me to work. I wanted to leave. When I walked in, they said, we need you to chair a meeting. And I took the keys in, I think, January, and I gave them back in June. So I was like, wow. But that was the structure that I needed when I walked in. Look around, listen, share, see how the people in that group responds to you and how you respond to them, and eventually you're gonna make a connection. You know, it's just like this, just like Alcoholics Anonymous. When I first walked in, I felt totally indifferent. I didn't know what y'all was doing and why it was working for y'all, but I knew it wasn't gonna work for me. But when I became willing to sit down and listen and learn, the program got easier. I remember Red, who's celebrating 38 years coming up in April. I said, man, you know, I wish I could get me, I wish I had 20, 30 years. And he said, well, keep coming. And then he told me, he said, well, listen, he said, I only got the day. He said, and if you got up earlier than I did, then you a little up on me. You know, and I listened to those type of things, and that's what made me get this program. You know, I knew in order to be involved, I had to be involved. I couldn't sit on the back line and tell everybody I go to AA and not put in no work. You know, in a home group is I think that's your sponsor gets you in and he shows you the ropes. In a home group, that's the anchor. You know, that's where everybody else get to give you a little medicine, you know, and acknowledge you. And you acknowledge them, because I go to my home group and a certain person is missing or a chair is not filled. And the first thing I start thinking is, where is Bob? And now I'm asking people at the end of the meeting, what happened to Bob? Y'all seen Bob lately? I ain't seen him for 2 meetings. And the same goes when I don't show up for a meeting or 2. That's an accountability that I didn't find that nowhere else. If I wasn't at the bar, people say, heck, they go to the next dude, yo, can I get a drink? And that was the end of it. You know, it's an inside feeling, man. It's a feeling that's in your heart. You'll know. You know, thanks for letting me share. Hey, Rick.
One thing that's important, Steve, you asked some real good questions. I'm pretty sure you're not the only one that was thinking the questions, and because they were crossing my mind. And one thing I was told, and it's not really, I don't tell it to too many people, but my home group's my family, bro. It's like a family. The 3 legacies of Alcoholics Anonymous: community, service, and recovery. Somebody just mentioned my home group, Hamlet, and I'm not here to throw that out, but I feel basically that my home group's all right. I think it's, regardless of what anybody else thinks, the 3 legacies, if they want to learn about them, discuss them, talk about them, your speakers come in that talk about the 3 legacies of Alcoholics Anonymous and recovery, that's what really matters. And I've heard a lot in my AA experience. This is the only place where I really fit in the world. It's the only place that I'm in my comfort zone. It's in Alcoholics. You know, really. I mean, not all the stuff I've ever done, places I've been. I was at a function this weekend, and the speaker was from Seattle, and we've been to the same meeting out in Hong Kong. We spoke in Seattle. Friend from New York, 25 years ago, I think his home group spoke to this group that I met at this place. So the value of a home group for the life of your sobriety, you'd be surprised. I'm surprised at just how important that is. And the thing is to find one, get one, and stay there. Like Vic was saying, you know, get one and stick to it. And I moved here, I'm a transplant. And I found a lot of transplants in Alcoholics Anonymous who got sober in other places and moved to geographically. And they're ones who do a lot of service, in my opinion. They understand the value of what you get. And I think it was Dr. Bob that said, it boils down to this whole thing, love and service. Love and service. And I get myself esteem. I get my esteem out of being available for this. I don't get it out of, I mean, that's just me. I get a lot of value, self-value from what I do and being a member of this program. And it's hard to explain to somebody who maybe, have questions about a newcomer. But the home group is where it all happened for me. The home group is everything I got and everything I learned. What somebody said I learned at my home group. And that reading from box 459, a lot of that stuff, it really resonates and hits home. I wouldn't be alive today if it wasn't for a home group who cared more for me and knew more about me and did more for me than my family or myself that I was capable of. And I guess that's putting it really dramatic and serious, but it's hard to place value on it. GSO tried, and they had this thing called, they did, whereas they came up with a lot of rules, and some rules about what makes a home group. And if you're not a structured group, and registered in Alcoholics Anonymous, then they won't list you as GSO, as a registered group. They know as a group of Alcoholics Anonymous. But the regions and the districts and the areas can put a meeting in with GSO won't do that. You have to be registered with GSO and Alcoholics Anonymous, as a registered group of Alcoholics Anonymous. So meetings aren't registered groups. So you don't have a home group if you just go to a meeting. Is what they told me, and I don't want to seem like a naysayer or a spoilsport, but that's what I was told. If you just attend meetings and you don't go into a registered group, you're not a member of Alcoholics Anonymous, per se. You can say you're a member. If you say you're a member, you can say you're a member. And all this stuff is a pretty words, but I don't have that calibration. My group's better than your group, and my group's better than, I don't have that KFC, Burger King alcohol. None of that. Have it your way. I just say GSO structure all the way down. That's what makes Alcoholics Anonymous, Alcoholics Anonymous, is being a member of Alcoholics Anonymous. Thanks for letting me share.
Thanks for sharing, Rick.
Thanks, Rick.
I know one of the things I appreciate about my home group, and I'll just kind of wrap it up with this for me, but I am a member of the primary purpose group of Southern Pines, and what I like about my home group is that, when we formed that home group, we didn't want that just to be our name, we wanted it to be our job description. We wanted to be busy outside of the 2 meetings that we meet every week. We wanted to do other stuff and carry the message out, not only the community, but, to detox, down here to Samaritan Colony and Morrison Correctional Facility. And, the other thing that we do that I think is important, at least for our group, we came up with 12 things that we wanted our group to do when we formed it. And every year we do a group inventory and we gut check ourselves. Are we doing what we said we would do within our group? Cooperate with other groups in the area and carrying the message in the community. And one of the other things I appreciate about our group is we do cooperate. Us and Keeping It Sober group have got a great cooperative relationship, and some of their members, we team up together and go to detox, and some of them go to Morrison. And I just think that's an important part of our group, and we certainly appreciate being able to cooperate with that group and any other group that's willing to do it. And the other thing for us in our own group is doing some fun stuff, whether it's going out to eat, whether it's having some group outings. And I know Keeping It Sober is real big and having extra stuff going on that really, I think, for me, promotes unity within the AA community. And I appreciate I certainly appreciate what Keeping It Sober and all the other groups that participate in that that's a big deal, that it tries to do some fun stuff other than just meetings, to pull people together and to get some things done. And I think, the other thing that I appreciate about our home group is we do reach out into the community, professional community, and try to do some public information and support, hopefully not only our district, but also intergroup in Moore County. But, so again, I appreciate the panel, I appreciate what you guys, everybody shared. Thanks.
Thanks for sharing.
With the topic of an inventory, have any of you on the panel done an inventory, and would you share a little bit about what happened, how you did it? A home group
My name is
inventory?
Debbie, I'm an alcoholic. I cannot remember what the questions were, but there is actually a group inventory on AA.org, and you can get those list of questions, and then you just sit down with your group and talk about the questions and get ideas of if you're, doing what the question said, and if not, how can we make it, change to make it happen? And we just, so, I don't know exactly what all became of it. It's a couple of years ago, the last time we did one, but, that's a good thing, just helps keep everybody focused going in one direction. our primary purpose is to help, stay sober and help other alcoholics with use sobriety. And how are we doing that?
Robert, I'm alcoholic. You know, I must say, I haven't been on a panel like this since I lived in New York City, but I do think that this is the key to the awareness of structure of whether it's a home group or the way that a home group should be ran, because if we fall short of the things that we need to be doing, people suffer. Alcoholics suffer, and we try to be accountable for the things that we're doing around the community, in the community, and in the program. But it's always good to do that inventory, to take their time to sit back and see if are we doing all we can do as a home group, because if we don't do what we do, people suffer. When a person come in, they should be acknowledged. People should get with them. It's certain procedures that we got. As far as me being a sponsor, I have my sponsees, when they first come in, I have them standing by the door, shaking everybody's hands, and not that I'm a good sponsor, but because I want them to get to know people. Because I might not be the person they call when they're in need. And these structured meetings, this is the meat and potatoes of the program. This is what keeps us on our P's and Q's and make sure that we doing what we should be doing as a member in good standing of Alcoholics Anonymous. So thanks.
Our time is almost up, and what I'm going to do is ask the panel if any of you have a burning desire.
And I live in my matches at home. I'm Vic, I'm an alcoholic. We did a group inventory at the Amsterdam group. We had someone outside our group come down and do the inventory for us, so there wouldn't be anybody in the group doing the inventory. I don't remember the exact questions. It was a couple of years ago when we did this. And right after we did the inventory, everybody was on fire. And we did real good for a while. And then things drifted back like they were before. So it's probably time to do another one. I mean, it's something that we need to keep doing, because being an alcoholic of my nature, I tend to get complacent. When things are going good, I tend to leave them alone. And so it's probably an idea that we need to look at again and do another one. I think it's something we need to do on a regular basis and to keep the pot stirred up, because when it's stirred up, people tend to do more. But the results right after that were real good. We got more people standing at the door greeting people when they came in, and coffee was always ready, and people were there earlier before the meeting and things like that. And now I've noticed that it's slacking off, slacked off. So something we probably need to do again.
My name's Lois Cogg, I'm an alcoholic. I would like, I'm a member of the Primary Purpose Group with Southern Pines, and I would like to say, we do our group inventory once a year. Usually I think it's July, something once or twice in June, but usually in July we do a group inventory every year. And we have a set of a group goals that I think that we use to look at ourselves. And we get somebody to come from outside of our group as well to help us with that. And it's all, I've always found it very productive, because we too have taken things from that, and making sure we have greeters at the door every week, every Monday, every Thursday. And I think that's made a big difference, because that new person coming in that door, I know it made a huge difference when I went to the Wilder building in Aberdeen, and Big Mike was there and gave me this hug, and I'm like, I don't know this guy, he doesn't know me, why is he smiling and giving me this hug? And it meant the world to me, and I've never forgotten. So I think things like that are super important, and that came out of our group inventory. That we need to be better about that, about greeting people and being more open to stuff. Anyway, that's my thought about it.
Thanks for sharing.
That's the panel.
Thank you. Thank everybody and our panel. Special thank you to the Old Time Structure Group. As Harold said, a lot of them were in the golf tournament, which got changed from yesterday to today because it rained yesterday. but we really appreciate the facility, and they provided us with dessert. Please enjoy. And in about 15 minutes, we'll have a business